Hey everyone, I can see you already joining. Nice to see you all. Just waiting for Slava to connect. There he is.
Hello, New York.
Hello Atlanta, how are you going?
Good, good. It's a beautiful day. How are you?
It's not so beautiful here. It's kind of gloomy and rainy and typical New York. In
Uh,
Every second day is nice. Oh wow, look at that. That's
yes.
beautiful. Wow,
Well, that's the best part of living in southeastern states. We
that's
have
it.
beautiful weather and nature.
Yeah, no, it looks amazing. One day, hopefully, I will get to enjoy that as well.
For sure, for sure.
But for now, it's the bus of New York that drives me.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm missing New York vibe, I'm missing this metropolitan life a bit because here's, you know, uh, you closer to nature and there's a lot of benefits, but we're missing this rhythm, you know what
Of
I mean?
course. It's
So
always a
yeah.
contrast because, of course, when we live here, it's all the time on the go, literally. Like that's what we love about it here now.
Yes.
I think it's easier for us actually because we're constantly traveling. So we kind of go away and then come back to it and away. But also last year, my girlfriend and I, we drove upstate, and there's
Yeah.
beautiful nature there as well. So if you drive a few hours, it's nice to get out to that nature and reconnect to
Of
that environment.
course. It's like it can take 40 minutes and you're already out, right?
No, no,
And you
exactly.
kind of,
That's it.
yeah. But yeah, actually was question I wanted to ask. You travel so much, how do you recharge? Or you go to Denmark to recharge? Because
No,
New York is not a place to recharge, I think.
well, I think to be honest, okay, there's level of recharge in some way. I think that throughout the years and throughout traveling so much, you
Yeah.
learn how to not necessarily connect or recharge to a place externally, but you have to be able to do it wherever you are and kind of create that space for yourself. Um,
Yes.
but definitely, so that's why even in New York, my home, my apartment is
Hmm.
my place to recharge because it's just to really switch off from anybody or like that whole people around and just be home with my dog, with my girlfriend, and just have that comfort. For
So
comfort.
you created, so you kind of took responsibility, right? So you don't wait from external world, but actually you created by your
Ex-
own this thing.
exactly, and definitely you have to create it yourself. And then of course sometimes you have to like something like nature. You really miss that or the ocean, yeah, ocean, woods, all those things, and then you just have to seek for that. But even
Yeah.
places in Hong Kong, just go to the nature, go to the water, just to get a sense of something different. And the same here in New York. Um,
Yeah.
but of course, it's a different experience whenever I go to Denmark, which unfortunately is only once, maybe twice a year now. Um, I grew up in the countryside, and to go to my dad's place and just go where it's just fields and woods, and it's a different feeling, and it's very soothing, I must say.
I know what you're talking about because my grandparents lived in countryside, and actually very often when we do meditate and they ask, to reconnect to yourself, I always find myself in those places, you
Imagining
know.
that, yeah,
So it's
definitely.
kind of, yeah, that's where your childhood happened, all these things and raised you like and made you as a person today, right?
Exactly, but that's why, of course, it's a privilege to be able to have that place already uh,
Yeah.
in you that you can reconnect to. Some people maybe need to imagine it or go out and find it first. So for us to be able to grow up in a place like that, to just reconnect back to that is, of course, really nice. I can see my
Yeah.
mom just said hi, so she's watching
Oh,
us.
wow, interesting. Okay, I have to
I'm
be
on.
careful with questions now.
No, I think she knows everything. She won't be shocked about anything anymore, especially
My
after
mom
my
actually also, I think,
especially
yeah,
after
because
my
of,
live stream with Kirill the other day. I
oh
think that
yeah.
she's fine with that now.
Okay. But yeah, I saw your live stream with Kirill. It's like fun, really fun. And actually this is also what you have to give people, entertainment for sure. But I have a little bit different purpose today.
Yeah, no,
So
I
I,
know
I
that.
want
Yeah, I
I want
think
to
that it's
talk more
important to
serious stuff.
to find the balance in it, but that's also like we all carry a little bit of everything in ourselves: the funny side, the more serious side, whatever, family side, friend side, all these things.
Yes.
And obviously, connecting with someone with Kirill is more on the fun side and going, and that's what we always connected to. But also we are able to sit and talk about serious things, and
For sure, for sure.
so that's good that you carry all the qualities.
So you said on your live stream you have these hats, yeah? So
Yeah.
first question, how many hats do you have?
Physical hats or mental
Physical,
hats?
physical one.
Oh, I don't know. I have quite a few. I've collected quite a few throughout the years.
Yeah.
And different styles. I just like to wear hats, and I don't really remember how it started. I used to wear a lot of the paper boys 8-piece hats, and now it's got a little bit more into this. And
but where it came from? Because if I look back, like you always stood out with your style. Like it always was like this Gatsby / Peaky Blinder style. Like first time I met you, like I think it was Denmark 2009 or something. You was walking with Morten with a Hennessy bottle, and you had this wooden costume, and then also hat, something like. And that's the thing. That's how it sticks in my mind. This is Troels Bager, you know. So where it came from?
Actually, honestly, I don't know where that specific style that you say the 20s and Peaky Blinders. Now people know it's the Peaky Blinders because that show became very popular back
of course,
then. Nobody that was not there. I think the sense of style came from my sister in some way, because she always she took me out to buy clothes. I didn't have money. I didn't want to spend money on those things, but she liked to do it. And my older sister is 10 years older than me. So so she kind of took me out and dressed me up and like did all those things that
educated you, yes, in this way.
Without me really knowing or necessarily wanting to, but that's kind of where I think I got that sense of style. And in sense of the 20s or like that style, it's just I don't know if it's where you believe in second lives or previous lives and so on. It's just I love everything about that. I love the clothing. I love one of the first things that I fall in love with in New York as well, apart from all the artistry and class, is all the hidden bars, the speakeasy bars, where you just go in and it's a mystery, and it used to be back then when it was prohibited. That whole atmosphere I love. The music, so it's just something that I connected to and I found really cool.
I feel you, 20s, 30s, this jazz, and yes, like you said, prohibition period when it was not allowed to drink. It was a thriving actually for art, for everything. Period of time.
It's classic. The people are classy, but it still had some edge because it was rough times. So on the outside everything looked nice, but behind there was like still some punch in it. So that's what I think is the cool part, that it's just not nice and pretty. It still has the rough side of it as well.
Exactly. Okay, Troels, when I was preparing for this interview yesterday, I was thinking about all those times, and I remember somehow UK popped in my mind, the first UK when we made semi-final, and I think it was UK first major when you made final, guys.
I see.
In amateurs. It was 2011, I think.
Yeah.
If I'm correct. And I remember these times. So the first question is like it's almost 10 years past. Can you tell us how your life changes after you made that final? Because I find we all as a dancers, this is our big dream, you know, to make a final. Then we have our own expectations, desires, goals, beliefs. So can you like a bit unleash this part of the life? What happened, or how it changed, you know, during these 10 years?
Yeah. Well, you know, the funny thing is that once you're in it, of course, it's a great moment, but you don't really realize it until afterwards what a big impact it had in some way. Because I think also my mentality, even though that I try to really appreciate everything I have and be in the moment, there's also a side of me that always wants more, the competitive side, and that. So once you make the final, almost straight away, you're okay, what can I do more? What can I do? Like once you win the amateur, it's like, okay, what can I do in pro? Once you do pro, what can I like? So it's always that strive for wanting to do more. So it's a hard balance to realize in the moment how much it means actually for you. But definitely it gave us a lot of confidence. And it was kind of, I think we mentioned that with Kirill as well, that we all have different paths, and we all reach success differently and in different tempos. We spent quite, let's say, quite a big amount of our amateur career in the 24. So we made the 24 straight away, and we spent quite a lot of time there, compared to we only spent 1 year in the semi-final, and then we went straight into the final. So for us, it was very a confident booster, because the frustrating times of not being able to make that semi-final and couples getting ahead of us, making that final so fast was really like, oh, it was worth spending the time on those principles and those foundations that we believed in. And it was really kind of say, yes, it is worth to do it your way. It is worth to believe in the way that you think is the right way for you to do it. And that I think stuck with us throughout the career from then on. Because a lot of people has, of course, oh, guys, you need to change certain things. Oh, guys, you need to maybe add certain things. You need to, a lot of people, of course, want to help, is a good interest, but it's for you to really decide who do you listen to, who do you trust, and then also to really learn to trust yourself. And I think that's what that experience changed for us. It's like, okay, we should actually really listen to ourselves even more.
And how this experience affected your another hat, like let's say life, besides competitive career?
Well, to be honest as well, it was maybe then to a certain degree that I started to believe that I could live from my dancing.
Oh, okay.
Up until then, it was a little bit, okay, let me hope I will make it. Let me hope I can make it. Like, it was all about making it. And that final, once you make that final, and somewhat in mind, I also felt I made it into, okay, I can actually become a full-time dancer and live this life as well.
Well, that's cool, actually, really, because some people, let's say, we had struggle, with all the time with this financial question, that all the time you believe you're kind of making that semi-final already, you expect that your life will change, but it's not changing, and you changing internally, but you also expect that some opportunities will come, and they're not coming. And as you said, maybe when you look back, you see that struggles, for sure, these are your main strength in future, right? But some people just can't wait for too long, and then sometimes they just find another way. But it's very important what you said, that you really started to believe that you can be full-time dancer and actually live from it,
I think that's where I started. But as you say, there was not like, of course you expect, and that's also a different way. That's a different point in some way. Whenever I grew up and I watched finalists, I was like, wow, they're finalists. I remember being young and going to the international, and I was watching the international at the Royal Albert Hall. I was not really dancing back then. Didn't have a partner, and just people dancing at the Royal Albert Hall, I was like, wow, these are great. Watching the final, it's like, wow, that's up there. But once you're in it, you forget, oh, I'm now in that position, and you forget how much you work for it, and how special and lucky in some way you are to be there as well. It's really a privilege to be in that position. So you forget a little bit how special it is to be there. But as you say as well, on the other hand, it's such a competitive market now. So just by making that final, not necessarily that many more opportunities comes. You still have to fight for it and really have to claim whatever you deserve.
So you said it's very important for you at this moment of gratitude, when you stop this hamster wheel and you just go outside a bit and look, and it's like, wow, and really appreciate it. It gives you a lot of inspiration, right?
Definitely. And it's, as you say, it's a hamster wheel that you constantly have to check yourself with. I definitely think, because it's easy. And again, this thing, a whole thing about balance, the balance is to go in between the two. I don't think there is a point where you're completely, okay, now I'm in the hamster wheel, but I'm also I'm at least I'm jumping in between the two. And for me, the key was very much just to be aware where I am in that.
That's interesting you said that, because I think 2 days ago, I read a book, and they described this. It called, actually, very was interesting. It called pendulum syndrome in psychology, when
Okay.
you jump from one edge to another edge.
Yes.
And actually, the balance in life is the jumping between, and like you said very precisely now, and being aware of this balance in between. Because, and then I was thinking also about dancing, because we have such a thing, you know, static balance in dancing and dynamical balance. So actually, also good question for you, where do you feel more happy and balanced, in that dynamical balance, or when you feel this stillness and static balance in your life? Because, well, and this is a tricky question, because you as a dancer, I find you're very good in static, in this stillness. You're very good. You're one of the best couples in this. So how it's like, and if you think about it, you can't be still in dancing if you're not still in your life, right? Because then it's like you can't fulfill, because there is a lot of going on inside, fears, insecurities and stuff. So how you find your internal balance in order to be still in the dancing, on the dancing floor?
It's a good question. I haven't, I'm sure I have spent a lot of time finding out, but I haven't thought about it a lot lately. I think as well, in some way, my natural instinct is always to find the calm within the chaos. That's just where
Yes.
I like to be. Maybe it's also, I've never thought, maybe that's what I like about New York as well, is that I know things are going around, but I don't necessarily want to be it, or I want to find, okay, how can I actually be here while everything is going around? So being in the eye of the tornado in some way.
Yes.
And that's maybe my answer to that, is that I like to be able to be in that tornado and be able to decide when do I jump into the different places, because being outside the tornado is the worst place you can be, because that's where I feel, at least, because then you're not, you don't have the possibility to kind of change the dynamics in your life and jump in that, what you compare to the pendulum, to jump on that pendulum. If the pendulum is just dead still, I think that even if it's dead still, it's constantly, even if it's just this, at least for myself, I'm here, but I'm constantly like the rhythm of life. You're still rocking with the rhythm of life,
Of course.
even though you don't go crazy with it. You know what I mean? If the
Of
music is
course, of
playing,
course.
it will be there. You can't ignore it.
Yes.
But
Yes.
you can decide how you react to it, and that's maybe also an answer. You decide how you react to it. You don't become a victim or prison of the pendulum. You actually decide how to swing with it or to observe it.
Well, it takes a lot of courage and intelligence to take a responsibility of your life in your own arms, you
and
know?
to be honest, Slava, it's a constant process, because once you get it and you are in that confident that you feel you're in control, hopefully you develop yourself, and suddenly that disappears, that control, because you have grown. So you have to constantly be confident and comfortable in not necessarily knowing where that is and constantly searching, because I feel that once you get stuck in that moment, there's a very big chance of you not growing. So one of the biggest things that I remember was, like, you have to learn to be comfortable outside your comfort zone.
Oh yeah, of course. This is key for growth, and growth is the key for happiness, success.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And
okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to dive in on this topic. So looking on dance industry in general, how do you think, is there a lot of people who are constantly growing? Because I find, my reflection is that actually there's a lot of people who stop growing in certain point in their lives, and then they are unsatisfied, then they are very egoistic in the way, because they try to prove everyone around that they are still great and doing something. And how does it influence our dancing industry, in your opinion?
You know, first of all, I think it's difficult to, I don't know if judge is the right word, but to judge each person individual growth. So certain people might grow in different ways, in different speed, in different. So the way that they expand the mind is really up to
Yes.
the individual. And but of course there is people in any industry. That's the thing. I don't think that our industry is necessarily different, better, or worse than any other industry, because this is all part of the life. And the thing is with our industry is that it's quite small. So this is what I figured out, is that there is quite, you get to meet most successful people in our industry very fast, and you can easily be influenced by them very fast. Where, for instance, in a different industry, let's say in any business, like I would never, it would be rare for me to meet someone like Mark Cuban, who's up here, if you're an entrepreneur. So my contact to actually, how does he act? What is his thoughts? I don't really know. But I know how most of the successful people are in our industry. So that's why I think it's important not to necessarily judge our industry and the people in it based on that, because I think you meet that everywhere.
Of course. I also have this position that dancing industry is a reflection of life in general, and all the industries are a reflection of life. And then here comes another idea. Don't you find that nowadays culture and society became very surfaced because of the social medias, because of the just this race, this speed which we have? We don't actually have a time to get into the things on the deeper level and understand them. So for example, now I find this is amazing time, because we can really, as you said, investigate and invest our time in different things and learn from different people, even different successful entrepreneurs. You can actually find the concepts which can work in dance industry.
Definitely.
Because the mindset is the same. So what is your reflection on education of people? Because you always seemed, for me, very, very intelligent dancer. So I always was looking up, to you. And how do you find, is there enough intelligence and depth nowadays?
See, I think in some way, this is something that, again, of course, each conversation would be also based on what you're maybe currently into and studying. And one of the things that I'm also into is not to necessarily labor things. So intelligence is very personal. People might see intelligence in different ways.
Yes.
Yeah? But definitely the attitude of growth and education, I think it could be there more. If you want to do it from an intelligent point of view or a passion point of view or whatever, but the growth and the education of it could be more in a depth point of view. So I think I've said this as well before. There's so many subjects, and the dancing has developed in so many categories more over the last 20, 30 years.
Yes.
And what it does is that I think more boxes is required. So you need maybe 20 boxes in your dancing, but each box doesn't necessarily have to be that full. And that's what I feel. In the past, there was maybe only 5 boxes, but each box was much fuller.
Yes.
And that's where the depth of education is not only to know a lot of things, but it's also to know a lot about one thing. And that's why I think that it's difficult. And for me as well, I have to constantly discipline myself and say, okay, now I have to commit myself to this subject, because otherwise it's easy just to, okay, get a little bit of this, oh, that was fun, get a little bit of that, oh, that's fun. So you feel that you're constantly touching on things, which is great as well. But for myself, I just feel that I need to push myself to say, okay, let's actually stay here and really get into that subject.
Yes.
And that's something that gives you power then, because suddenly at a conversation, it's nice when you go to a gathering and you can talk about a little bit of everything with everybody.
Yes.
But now you sit down with a person and now you can actually really discuss things and go in depth. That's a different level of conversation.
Yeah, of course, of course. I remember even when I stopped dancing and you go to some event and there's no dancers, and I found, oh my God, I don't know anything. I don't know. I know only particular one topic, and like I had to earn my confidence in this as well, you know, because you can't talk to everyone only about dancing, you know.
No, exactly.
But if you're a professional dancer, you have to dig in, right, and research and know this topic like fully.
Again, there's many ways to success. So it all depends on your personal satisfaction, really, and what you believe is success in the first place, but also what will make you successful.
So what made you successful? I have to ask you then. Like, how do you think, if you reflect in general? Because one superpower you already told me, yeah? You're aware of this tornado, but you always find a way and strength to find a calm place within tornado. I think it's a very, very strong feature. What else did make your success?
I think one of the things as well, and that's really about mainly about the Latin dance in our particular situation, was really the acknowledgement of the power of the partnership and the commitment that you make to that partnership, and that bond between you can make or break you, and that me and Ina in some way realized quite fast is that we have a potential to be successful. So it's all down to us not to fuck this up, to be quite frank.
Yes.
So to really trust, and within that is probably connected to your own gut feeling as well. To really connect to that gut feeling whenever you're in doubt, and that takes practice. That takes a lot of practice. And I worked with a therapist as well who helped me.
Oh,
who helped
okay.
me to connect with those things, because I wanted to develop that part of me, because I found it as a strength.
You found it at quite early age, right?
Yeah, I think so. Compared to a lot of people, probably I found it quite early.
Yeah, I could say that. Actually, I want to dive in very quickly in this. So, if you talk about, like, now it's broader, and I don't want also to label anything, you know, it's just a free conversation. I don't want to judge anything, just maybe, you know, put on table some different perspective and just discuss it with you.
Yeah.
You know, so if you think about the education system from very early age, we are taught to listen and follow what they say to us. So they teach us, let's say in the school, they teach us math, they teach us geography, whatever, languages, but people don't teach this kind of thing as how to be more connected to yourself, how to be emotionally and physically strong. Because obviously, I also, like you said, that you and Nina created this team against the whole world around. That's how I also felt with my partner. But the whole world around doesn't want you to be happy and successful, you know what I mean? So you have to be very strong. So how, like you said, you took this therapist. What else? Like maybe it was intelligent teachers and good teachers who also discuss with you these topics. Because what I find nowadays, it's only about the physical development and not so much about the emotional and mental development.
Yeah. Well, I definitely, in some way, you know, you can learn these things through a lot of ways. Like our main teachers from when we started together was Colin and Lena. And I think that we learned to trust those things as well, because the information they gave was based on depth and understanding. So it was not like you will learn this today and you'll be able to do it. No, you will learn this today, then you have to practice it for the rest of your career. And hopefully at some point you will be able to use it to the degree that you wish to use it.
Yes.
That whole input, that it's a constant process and there is no end to it. And there's constant, it's a working process in that. That's another way of of accepting that you shouldn't just rush around and get quick results, and that's another depth as well. But of course, okay, the one thing I think is important for people to know as well is not to put your responsibility or powers onto someone else. So there is great teachers in what you say in mental and all those things, but it's not him who's going to make the difference. He's might trigger a difference and a process in you, but to know deep inside that you have all the power and all the capability, and it's just about unlocking that or not blocking it or freeing it throughout the whole way. I feel that's maybe one of the things that I realized, and that we believed in, Nia and I, from the beginning. We really have all the tools inside, and now we just have to unlock it and free it and own it and grow it like a little garden that you just have to take care of, and it grows and grows, and suddenly you have the whole forest.
So you believe that because there is two kind of perceptions. That person, when he's born, he is like empty blanket, and then like canvas, and then you draw and put everything with your experiences and stuff. Or there's another belief that you actually are born with everything already inside, and then you just layer by layer, you know, pull it over, you know, out. So you believe that you already have everything, and then you just, you know, have to peel the layers.
Yeah, in a certain way, you have to grow it inside of you. You have all the possibilities inside of you. But to be fair as well, some people, of course, has easier things, like it's easier for them to do certain things. But it doesn't mean that it's not inside you. That's another thing that you have to learn. That it's even though you don't make it the first time, or even the guy next to you is easier doing it first time. That doesn't mean that you don't have it. Maybe it's easier doing it first time and second time and third time. But what about doing it 1,000 times in a row? Maybe he will go like this, and then suddenly like this, where you will go slowly, 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 slowly.
Yes.
So that's a definite, because I remember that for myself, because I started quite late dancing in some way. I was like 14 before I just really danced a little bit of competition. And I didn't dance my first Blackpool until with Ina in 2006, where I was 18. So that was my first Blackpool. And I remember watching the international and watching all these Russian dancers who especially Russia back then, because it opened up and there were so many talented Russian, well-trained dancers. And Italy as well was very full. And I just remember looking at them and I was like, damn, I'm nowhere near that.
Yes.
But again, you go back and you just do what you love and you keep working, and slowly and slowly and slowly it just got in. So I caught up.
Yes.
So just because someone is ahead of you, it doesn't mean that you can't make it.
For sure, for sure. Actually, you said interesting that you can go very fast and then drop down. And actually, if you take particularly Russia, the kids are amazing in Russia. Juniors are amazing. Youth are okay. And somehow amateurs and professionals, we see this breaking point when Russians are not that great anymore. So maybe it's the question of psychology. Maybe they too much pushing in the beginning and then they burn out. How do you feel? Because in Denmark, let's say also I talked to Sam, he started 16, you 14, and somehow, you know, that you go slower, but you go further. You know what I mean? And if you go like Russia, you do faster. And only few Russians are great if you have like really, if you take a bigger picture. Yeah, comparing to amount. Exactly. So do you think it's just this Western mentality that you go slower, but you go further?
See, I don't know. I see, it's difficult to say because, first of all, I didn't grow up in Russia, so it's difficult to judge or see what's happening there.
Okay, I have Russian mentality. I can tell you. Yes, we are this. Boom. Like head into the wall and break the wall. You know?
Yeah. So again, I think that, as you said, you mentioned quite a few reasons as well. That, for instance, that okay, maybe they burn out because it's just push, 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 push. Maybe there's a lot of a lack of really the for me as well, like the lack of depth maybe, or the lack of personal satisfaction. So it's more about producing and doing it, but why, like what is your satisfaction in that? Is it, and you see that as well. For instance, also you see actually another thing is, I remember growing up and there were so many amazing Brazilian football players, and they all were amazing, and then suddenly they disappeared, quite young.
Yes.
And again, their goal was to get out of poverty and get out and get some money and be able to reach a certain lifestyle. Once they got that, they said, okay, I'm done. That's it. So it's also a little bit of your motivation. What motivates you? Is there a lot of the Russian dancers, do they just need a way out? When Denmark, we are lucky, we grew up in a rich country. So in some way we are safe. So if we choose dancing, it's definitely not to survive in some way.
Yes.
I don't know if that could also be a possibility.
Yes, actually, yeah, for sure.
Because you see that in America as well. In some way, a lot of people come here to really pursue their career, but somewhere along they realize, oh, I can do pro-am, I can do all that, and I can actually earn much more. So now I don't want to do that sacrifice to really do my career, because this is going to make my comfortable life. So you have to make that decision quite clear as well. Why do I do this? Is it for the comfort and the security, or is it just because I have this feeling inside that I need to constantly express, or this goal that I need to reach? Because it's also fair to find out that you can express yourself in many different ways. It doesn't just have to be this one just because you started there.
That's what I found in my life, that it's not necessarily only ballroom dancing competitive, but you can express yourself in so many different ways. And it's okay, everyone does his own choice. And you know, it's also about the time and space, because I remember you post something when you made this Blackpool final about timing. Timing is the key. And actually, it's like, if you think like that, yeah, you made this really clever decision in the right time to make this step, and then you made immediately final. Because if that would be a little bit earlier or a little bit later, who knows, maybe you wouldn't be now in this position where you are now.
Exactly.
Right?
Definitely.
So it's not only about hard work, because I wanted to dig in this concept bit, because nowadays modern society in general cultivates this, that you need to work hard, especially in our countries. We have this all the time. You have to work hard. You have to fight against the life. Life is hard. You have to find this spot under the sun. You know, this kind of concept that only hard work pays off, and it's only about the hard work. And then, don't you think that we take these phrases from the context, and many of us actually make it like our main life's credo, which is, it's not only about the hard work, it's a lot of other aspects. Definitely. How do you think?
No, I think, and to be honest, I know that kind of culture from Ina as well, because when we started, I mean, she grew up in Bulgaria, and I remember, and I think actually it's funny that I think that's part of our success as well, because she came and she was about work, the harder the better. So she was the one who pushed, and to be honest, she pushed me to practice much more than I was used to, where I was kind of trying to always figure out what is the best way to do this. So sometimes she would just say, let's go. And I was like, but Ina, if we want to spend the time right, we should actually just do that, and then we can do that. Oh yeah, that's right. Now let's go and do that. So she was always the initiative in terms of maximizing everything you have. And I was kind of figuring out, okay, but is this really the best way to do it? Let's just pause a moment and figure out, is this, and so it's not just about to push, but also to push in the right way. Work hard and work smart.
Yeah, exactly. Work smart. So you always try to find more effective way, right? Not like easier, not like being lazy, but more effective.
That's definite, and I think that's also one of my approaches in the dancing, is very much what is the most efficient way, not to be able to relax, but actually once I find the most efficient way within the system, I'm able to maximize whatever I want to maximize. That's in some way what I like to, and that's what I find fascinating about understanding the mechanics and principles of things. And then from there, you can make your own personal style or personal choice based on what you like to do. But I feel that the key for me, the freedom, is created through knowing the restrictions of the structures, and then from there you can play around.
Yes. Well, I want to take a little bit here look on your partnership, because I find nowadays younger guys don't really understand your dance so much. I don't know. Like, I get this feeling because in your partnership, it's definitely Ina who is shining, you know? And we, our generation people, we know that she's shining because of you, because of the clever decisions made in the partnership. But these younger people, they just have a look, they look on mechanics, on the body, and this is only how they judge. So they don't see this broader picture. So how to, and actually I think it's general, let's say, issue about the masculinity in the dance, because again, nowadays these borders are very, very, you know, blurred between feminine and masculine in society in general. And as we talked before, the dancing is just reflection of the life. So we lost this, like, I think comparing to 50 years ago, right? And you are this gentleman from the past times who comes and shows, like, guys, no, it can be done like this and it can be very successful. So how do you think, like, as a teachers, our job, is it like to cultivate this old school thing or not? Or we just adjust to the times which came here, a lot of same-sex dancers dance together, and we just have to deal with that somehow?
Well, I think there's different elements in that question. I think that, of course, we have to accept, when you mentioned the whole same sex and the whole, like, blurred between men, like the sexes and so on. I think that's, of course, a cultural thing that you have to accept. Now, when it comes to the teaching and the amount of, like, the approach of dance, I quickly found out, or not quickly, but throughout the process, I also found out what kind of character you are. So your character is your plus card mainly, and of course also in certain ways you're negative. So you have to constantly, how can I tune it up and down? Let's say, for instance, a dance like paso, if we talk about dancing, is on the paper an aggressive dance.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I didn't connect to the aggressiveness at all. So I had to find my own way. How can I make my paso portray the paso that I want and that I imagine and that my character suits? Not to be comfortable, because I don't want to just dance what is comfortable, but I had to find somewhere where I could make it mine. And that's where the whole understanding about the stress and the peace that a matador has to be in. He's never angry. He's never yelling. He's calm and focused, because he knows that if he messes this up, he's gonna die. So he prays before he goes in the arena. That's where he does, like a boxing match. I remember watching a lecture as well. So compare the boxing match. The boxers are like pumping themselves up. The matador stays and focuses. And that's the approach that I very much connected to, and through that also the flamenco dancing, because it was much more a sensual man, but yet powerful. And
that's why you took these classes in New York with that flamenco guy.
Definitely, right? I needed to find something to else, and maybe I didn't necessarily knew that was what I wanted, but I just felt that I hadn't found myself in the paso yet. Yeah. So again, you don't know always. Sometimes once you're searching, you really have to say, okay, I don't know what I'm searching for. I just need to go out there, and then I will start picking the flowers. Because if you're looking for one flower, you might neglect a lot of other beautiful flowers in the way, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
But at the end of the day, you want to have a nice, colorful bouquet, and not just one nice flower, and then I forgot all the other nice ones. And that's in some way how you find a search. But again, connected to your teaching, I think it's important for us as teachers, whenever we teach, to offer that quality as well. And to even though they don't get it today, or even the other things are more attractive, if you as a teacher believe it's a quality, you have to teach that as well. And that's what I always feel. I can't teach, and I can't teach other people's priorities. I can only teach my own priorities, because that's what I know works for me. That's where I know the depth of what I've studied. So and then I can see what's out there, and I can try and adjust it and say, okay, if a guy's more wanna be more the star of the couple, that's fine. But they have to. I will still try and not sell, but offer the attraction of actually making a lady feel good, and that will make me
Yes.
feel even stronger.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
that's what I think is the challenge. Just to finish up, that's what I think is the challenge. You don't give anything away by giving attention to the lady. Actually, the more you do that, in the end, you will be able to feel stronger.
Definitely. Yes. And in life as well, right?
That's exactly it. It is life.
Yes, life is dance, dance is life. But I wanted to discuss this, you know, because as a teacher, I faced this challenge to teach what is judged very good. Let's say the bouquet, beautiful bouquet, which is judged always, so you know, okay, this is clear system how it works. Or take more time, explore, maybe fail few times, but in the end to find your unique bouquet. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So, but nowadays I think because motivation number one is just the result, we choose always very fast path just to grab that bouquet, deliver, go and pick up another one, you know?
I completely know what you mean. Yeah, I do.
So it's about then again, if we, because everyone is now talking. I saw some lives, everyone is talking. Oh my God, so many copies. We don't see any personality. Oh my God, if you look 20 years ago, everyone was different. Now everyone is the same. How we should change it? How we should change it? How we should change it? Question for you. Or should we change? Or this is just the natural development of ballroom dancing, because ballroom dancing is very new industry still. It's not even 100 years, you know, old. So maybe this is just organically, that's how it happened, and we just need to deal with that, you know, and not to look back and not to judge, not to compare. So this is how it is today. We will not have those amazing finals when everyone is different. Now it's a bit different. So how do you think?
Well, I think as well there is a tendency, and of course there is a tendency to always say things were so much better. And the thing is that it's easy to focus on the things that are less now.
Oh yeah.
So that's the first thing, because to be honest, I do feel that if you look at the pro final now, we are all very different in certain ways. You can definitely not compare me and Kirill in style.
No. Your professional final is still kind of different. So, but amateurs, let's say, and other groups, you know.
And that's in some way what I think. It's difficult for me to advise a little bit as a teacher, because I really, that's one of the things, I really focus and see myself as a dancer. So whatever I want to change, my responsibility to do that is to use this time and actually make the change on the floor. If I can't complain about people being too physical and too not personal enough, if I'm not doing it myself on the floor. So, and in some way, that's where our responsibility as dancers is to put on the floor what we truly believe in. And hopefully by that, other people will see that and then change, because they can find it attractive. But again, whenever we look at those finals back, you say as well, back then there were so many personalities and so on. I never watched the 48 or 196 of those times back then. Maybe they're all the same as well. But maybe those 6 couples or 12 couples that we watched on the tape, they were all different.
Yes.
And that's why they are the 6 or the 12 or the 24.
Yes.
So in some way as well, that I never watched the tapes back then to see if everybody looked the same. I'm sure they did in some way. But those who were successful, they had their own style, just like today. And that's what I think you should. That's what, in some way, an advice is to show the couples, okay, you can reach a certain level, but if you want to be really successful, you have to create your own style. And even more so, if you want to be remembered when you leave the floor and you've stopped for 30 years, that's when you want, if you want to leave a legacy, that's where you really have to dig in and give yourself and be vulnerable and say, this is what I believe in. And that's not easy. That's where the courage comes in.
So for now, your main motivation is to leave legacy. Right?
Definitely. My main motivation right now is to really explore myself as a human and as a dancer, and through that be able to experience the dancing on the floor and hopefully leave a legacy. It's not my, I can't decide if I leave a legacy. Everyone else,
of course,
decides.
Of course, of course. Only the moment when you retire, then we will see if you left or not, right? It's kind of post factum process.
So
okay, we have 10 minutes left, and I want to dive in art.
Go so fast, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy. We spoke last time 3 hours with Sam. Crazy. But interesting. So do you when was this moment when you started to call yourself as a artist, not as an athlete, you know? Because still there's a, you know, different perspective on dancers, you know? Oh, he's a professional dancer, athlete. But when is the moment when you said yourself, okay, I earned the right to call myself artist?
I don't think it was necessarily the fact that I earned the right. I just found myself comfortable, or I found myself, I allowed myself to be an artist more than anything. And I stopped, in some way also came with the term that in order for me to express the art in the form that I've chosen, I need a certain amount of athleticism, because that is required in a competition format. I'm not able to perform the level of dance that I wish to and make it artistic if I don't have an athletic approach to my body.
Yes.
So
yes.
That part of it, I feel that there is no, in my head, there is no separation between the two. It really is, I need to be an athlete by structure, by body, by discipline, in order to be able to give me that freedom from the mind and from the passion and from the soul as an artist.
Okay, and then the bigger question is then, as a dancer, your product, your creation is your movement, your dance itself. So, and the part of it is also your personality, right? So you can't actually separate your art from your personality. Like artists, like let's say painters, they still can. They do painting, they put it on the wall, they sell it, and there's no detachment. We have this detachment, and in some point, I experienced this. I lost, where is this border when Slava and Slava's dancing? So I perceived myself as my own dancing. So I really took a lot of time to figure it out. Where am I and where is my creation? So how you deal with that? Because it's trapped. Sorry, just one. It's trapped not to become narcissistic and egoistic when everything goes around only you,
definitely.
Because it's me.
But I think that's where the meditation helped me a lot. Like that's almost where I feel that I'm a new canvas every day, and I am only today what I create today. Of course, I have a baggage of knowledge but really, whenever I go onto that floor, I'm creating that moment right now. So I'm not the world champion or the pro finalist or whatever when I'm there. I'm just a dancer creating what I'm doing.
That's hard.
It's very hard, but that's what I found out myself. That's actually where I enjoy the process the most, and that's where I don't restrict myself. That's where I don't put the bad expectations that I have to fit into a certain box. I have to wear a certain hat. In some way, in that part, I know I'm wearing the dancer's hat, but underneath it, I can be whatever I want to be.
Okay.
Because
did you feel
I am all of it at the same time. I am all of them at the same time. But it's just to not let who you were yesterday dictate who you have to be today.
Yes. But you said your results, your kind of achievements gave you confidence. So this confidence was just internally that, okay, people appreciate the art which I'm doing. Now I have more freedom. Because, you know, since you make it, kind of make it, you know, make it, people say, make it when you are confident, because there is approval that, okay, the thing you're doing is approved by people, they like it, they put the marks, good marks, and then you reach this freedom. Because when you're all the time first, you don't really perceive yourself as a competitor. Like, that's what I felt. When the moment when I was winning,
Of course.
I never went on the floor as a competitor. I was an artist. The moment I lost that result, I was a competitor. I wanted to turn it back, this confidence.
Of course, it is, and you're very right, Slava, because we felt that, of course, as well. In the pro, now being champions for 3 years, okay, we made the final fast, everything was fast, but then you get back to reality. Now you want to improve your result, and that confidence has two sides. It's the confidence, but it's also the pressure.
Yes.
And that's what you have to deal with that, and you have to say, you don't want to not have the pressure. You want the pressure, because that means that you have done something good and you want to do it again. So it's to mentally accept that and use that obstacle as a motivation. But I'm honest with you, it's hard. It's bloody hard. And there's no answer. There is no answer. This is the way to do it, because it's a constant process that you have to deal with and you have to accept.
Yes.
So it's not like, oh, I got it. As I said in the beginning, it's not like I got it. Now I managed how to do it. No, it's constantly going. And that's why you have to love what you're doing, because it is stressful. It is demotivating. And it is like, oh, why am I doing this? It's so tough. But on the other hand, it's also what you love doing.
Yes. Well, I have a lot of questions left, but it seems like no time left.
But maybe, Slava, maybe we should do it another time, and because it's I think it's a deep conversation, and I think it's interesting questions that you're giving me and challenging me as well. I'm having fun with it.
Yes.
And I think it's a good way to get that message across as well. So maybe we should do it another time, continue the conversation, and then.
Well, I'm only for. Because what I liked when you said we started this live, because it's a time for giving, you know, and when you think about it, like in broader picture, what can I give to this life? Everyone can do something, and what we now do during this situation giving is maybe we're taking some different approaches, and some people can think about it from different angle, and maybe something they will discover and it will shift their life. You know, and I think we need to do that much more as a dancers in general in our community.
Definitely. And that's being vulnerable as well, to actually say, to give and to get, and that's a nice feeling. Once you step over that part of actually, oh, should I do it? It's great to give. And you will, that's one of the things that Ina and I always say, don't save yourself, give. In the end, you might get a smack in your face. You might meet someone that doesn't like it. In the end of the day, you will win.
That's amazing, because we were talking about you guys with my wife yesterday, and she said, like, they are not selfish, because she's this wise person growing up in India, and she's like, they are only one of the dancers who are actually not selfish and giving more than they want to receive back. And it's so, like, it makes sense. That's what makes you successful, because whenever you speak, guys, in interview, it's like just pure, you know, you don't think about your own gain, how you look, about your ego and stuff, you know. That's what makes you successful. And Elsa wrote you this comment that you inspired them, and I can say the same. The moment when you invited us to Aarhus and actually spend the quality time with you, it shifted my life. I saw, like, wow, that's how good top dancers live. Not only practice, but live. You know, reading the books, and they have these deep conversations. That's amazing.
No, it is. It really is. I can see it says 50 seconds left, so we're soon
about
to kick it off.
We'll do it again. Okay,
great, Slava.
I love that.
Guys, thank you everyone for watching this conversation. And Slava, thanks for making this initiative. I think it's a great, deep conversation. And I think it's nice for myself. Again, you say I'm not selfish, but again, I actually do it for myself, because I think it's a nice thing to do. And by that, I hopefully give some inspiration as well.
Of course, we grow. I also learned a lot.
But thank you very much for inviting me for this invitation as well.
Thank you for accepting, and thanks for time. Thank you,
man. We keep in touch, and then we'll find another time to do it.
For sure.
Okay. See you, Slava.
Bye, guys. See ya.
Guys. Nice to see you. Take care.